I got plastic. Go. It's the standard.
The old PA system.
As long as they can hear it, I think. Or the speakers up there. The microphone. I'd move that podium down here where they can pick it up on the broadcast.
You know, that.
The sound.
You want it moved down there?
Put it on this end. That way they can pick it up.
So like this.
Yeah. Sure. Just turned it around.
I heard the PA system.
I don't think there's any microphones for us to speak in. Jackie's got one.
I got some wireless mics.
We're fine. We talk loud enough.
Turn it slightly. Sit back.
Yeah.
If somebody else needs to sign too, we can, I think it's all four.
It's all for
I was all for it.
judge. Here.
Is there any kind of present them? I don't know where, somebody gave me that. Tell me what it's Sure, these.
Yeah. That's our time. I know what, 7, 6. You might not get to that.
I'll tell you when. It is now 10:15.
All right, it's 10:15. We'll now entertain a motion to come out of recess.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll go to our public comments section. Mr. Lonnie Grissom.
Judge Pro Tem, Commissioner of the Court, I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you today. I understand we have 5 minutes. So for 5 minutes, our message is simple. We assembled a group of people. I've always found when I have a short time, I refer to Proverbs. Because, Solomon, he wrote 31 chapters, well, some of them he says maybe his mother and other wise men, but he put a way of life in 31 chapters and 31 Proverbs. First one I want to quote is 18:21. It says, "A tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." I don't know about you and the people in the audience, but I don't like the taste of bitterness. I like the taste of sweet. So it's our prayer this morning. We as Tyler Countyans join together and we use our tongue to build one another up and not tear one another down. The second proverb I read as I was reading my Proverbs this morning comes from Proverbs 11:11. Feel free to go to read this in case I don't quote it just right. Those of you with Google and all that. But this came this morning to me through reading. It says, "Through the blessing of the upright," I'm going to insert county instead of city, because Solomon had said city. "A city is exalted by the mouth of by the upright of the justice, but torn down by the wicked, it is destroyed." So with that being said, with only 5 minutes, I would ask that you stand with me for Tyler County. President, will y'all stand with us?
Yes, sir.
for Tyler County?
Oh, yes, sir.
If we stand together, no one should separate us. Let's build a county that is a county for our children's children. It's also a proverb: "A wise man builds, leaves an inheritance to children." That concludes our public comments for today. We thank you for your service. If we may shake your hand, single file. That'd be good.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Bud. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bud. Thank you, sir. Appreciate what y'all do. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate what
Thanks for what y'all are doing.
Chester.
You sometime.
You can see that.
Thank you, Jim. Man, good to see you, sir. I appreciate that. I don't know you, Joe Black. I know, I saw that, but I just, you know.
Tastes good. Oh, yeah.
All right, Milton, you ready to say your?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm sure most of y'all recognize me, so I know who's naughty and nice. But I've been asked not to say anything for or against, but to my opinion on character. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. I've only been up here once before, and I get nervous when I speak, but it done me well to see that prayer is still here. Pledge of Allegiance is still here. I retired from the prison system 21 years. The government took away Bibles and prayer out of the schools, but they are shoving it in their faces when it's too late. And I'm glad to see that it's still here. In the Bible, it says not to offend little children because they're the kingdom of heaven. Little children are so teachable and humble. I thought about going to First Baptist Church or Little Eagle's Nest and bringing some in here so that we wouldn't offend them. But I'm scared the way things are going, it would offend them and put them in the wrong direction. Like Mr. Grissom said, we are here to build one another up. When my boy was playing school basketball, we had a coach that would yell and scream at the boys, but he did it in a way that would excite them, motivate them. And then we had another one that would do the same thing and demean them. We don't need to demean people here in this court. This is what runs our community. I know most of you here. I'll say this, that usually when you serve, am I running over?
You good?
Usually when you serve the community in a tolerant manner, Mike Marshall can agree, your hair turns white. He doesn't have much color anymore. Buck doesn't have any hair. I've known Buck for a long time. He's taught every one of my kids, and knowing him this well, and we were with the school. We knew people in the school. We were a family there. And I can't see Buck Hudson doing anything wrong. I know Mike well enough to say that he couldn't. Not intentionally. And if he did, I think they are humble enough to admit it, correct their ways, and try to get right. Stephen, the same way. He used to work on cars, and he was good and honest at that. Jackie, and I'm going to say something about Jackie because she's almost like a sister because I aggravate her so much, and she hates a male chauvinist, and I turn into one when I see her coming down the hall. And but you guys that I know couldn't do anything intentionally wrong. But I wish that we would work with each other. When you're elected, you're no longer Democrat or Republican. You're servants. You are pure servants. And Christ washed the feet of his apostles to show that he served people. And I'll again say that I'm proud to live here in my community that was given to my forefathers years ago. Please, if at all possible, stay away from the media that really just takes things out of context and puts in something else or omits things that the truth does not come out. Find out for yourself. And I've got to get more connected with the politics here. Yes, sir. Thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Baldwin.
I'd like to thank gentlemen for having me this morning. I want to start off by acknowledging the divisiveness that my appearance might have in this courtroom. And I want to offer and extend a heartfelt apology if at any point I have come off as adversarial to the court, to any members of the court. So I do hope that you will accept my apology and know that I truly do want us as a community to move forward together. The reason that I am here this morning, though, is to express my continued concern for the distribution of the American Rescue Plan Act funds to elected officials. In reviewing the materials related to the ARPA funds, local government code, and the Texas and U.S. Constitution, I have come up short in finding any authority to distribute this money as premium pay to elected officials. Congress, in ARPA, purport to divide the American people into two arbitrary classes, essential and presumably non-essential. The legislative, executive, and judicial powers of the government are coextensive to each other. Osborne versus Bank, the United States, 1824. All jurisdiction derives from the Constitution. If the Constitution does not confer on the executive or the judiciary the capacity to take jurisdiction, no act of Congress can supply it. Mayer versus Cooper, 1867. This principle was also affirmed in Cohens versus Virginia, 1821. Legislative acts which are repugnant to the Constitution are void. The 14th Amendment of the United States provides, in pertinent part, no state shall deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal powers, the equal protection of the law. Certain provisions of ARPA deny economic protection of the laws to a purported class of Americans designated by implication as non-essential. As to any executive or judicial officer who purports to determine which Americans are essential, the Constitution must give that officer the capacity to take jurisdiction and make such determination, and Congress must have supplied it. There is no provision in the U.S. Constitution that gives Congress or any executive or judicial officer the capacity to take jurisdiction and create two classes of Americans, i.e. essential and by implication non-essential, and provide economic protection of the laws to the former but not the latter. No act of Congress, such as ARPA, can supply such jurisdiction. And sections of ARPA that provide economic protection of laws to certain Americans but deny such protection to others are repugnant to the U.S. Constitution and void. And public funds taken under purported authority of ARPA for personal use of elected officials were taken without constitutional authority. Therefore, all such public funds so taken must be returned. So what am I asking here today? I need you, our commissioners, and all other elected officials who took ARPA funds to return the $3,500 to the treasurer as soon as possible, or within the next 20 days. Alternatively, if you don't believe you need to return the money, provide to us, your constituents, the residents of Tyler County, the legislative provisions within the U.S. Constitution that gave this court the authority to use ARPA to pay premium funds to elected officials. If you will not comply with either request, it would seem that you are acting outside the scope of official duties, and therefore it would seem you are acting out of a personal capacity to keep the $3,500. In doing so, you may be subject to losing your governmental immunity. Once again, I need you, our commissioners, the elected officials who took ARPA funds, to return the $3,500 to the treasurer within the next 20 days, or in the alternative, provide to your constituents the legislative provisions in the U.S. Constitution that gave you the authority to distribute these funds. I also have some materials here for the court, if I may, for your review, for your consideration. Again, I do offer my heartfelt apologies for at any time I have come off as adversarial. It is not my intention, nor has it ever been, to use the platform which I have been granted through social media to be an online bully or to have any adversarial thoughts towards any of you gentlemen. I respect your position. I respect that it is a thankless job. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
I just have a question, Sal. Do we need to give the $1,500 stimulus check we all got last year, if we didn't make $140,000 a year? Do we need to pay that back too?
I have no comment on that at this time, sir.
Okay. Let's see who we got next. Mr. Alden.
I had, contrary to what you may think, by the way, thank you very much for allowing me to speak for a minute. Be sure to put that timer on, because I have a tendency to chase rabbits. I did not know exactly what Sal was going to talk about today, and I was not here to talk about ARPA. But I do want to touch on something that Mr. Grissom said, because it is something that I truly believe. Being a leader is being a servant. And I have something on my wall that I've had there for ages. And it just basically says, if serving others is beneath you, then leadership is above you. And I truly believe that. I'm a builder. I love building things. I have all my life, no matter what it was. I love building things. I don't know why God brought me here. I'm beginning to see why he brought me here, brought me back, brought me home. But I'm beginning to see a little bit of that. I think the last time that I spoke at Commissioner's Court, I was talking about building the county in a way that I saw how to build it and make it better by starting with something instead of looking at our future, maybe looking at what we have with us right now, which is our kids, and getting behind our school districts and starting to look at programs that would impact their lives and make things better for the kids, because they're our future, are they not? You taught school for 30 years, didn't you, Buck?
Yes, sir.
And you and I may not see eye on a lot of things, but I'll bet you that we see eye to eye that our children are the future.
Right.
They are our legacy. They are the legacy of this county. They're the legacy of this country. And I truly believe that if everything we do, if we will think about our children and the impact they're going to have on our lives as adults, obviously now, but as it pertains to our county in the future, we would be much further ahead. I think the last time I spoke to you folks, I told you I had no problems with you guys spending money on an airport. I thought that was noble. Spending money on the rodeo arena, I thought that was noble. But in light of some of the things that have happened and some of the things that people feel, and you can say what you want to, and I can be called a bully because I'm part of a group that called out some things that we didn't think were appropriate. But you got to remember that it's just two guys, but yet there's 70,000 engagements in 30 days, 17 to 19,000 individual post reviews on an open page that doesn't have a membership. You don't have to like it. You don't have to comment. So I know for a fact there are people that are very interested, and you're not just there trolling us. You want to see what we're doing. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the county. Getting back to what I was saying a minute ago, last time I was here, I talked about those things, and I suggested we start looking at something that would benefit our kids on a greater scale, okay? And I talked about the aquatic center, remember? And I talked about the community center that I wanted to see attached to that. And I'll tell you today, we've already got a piece of land picked out, and we've also got some folks that are willing to put that thing together. So hopefully we're going to get that done. Buck, Mr. Commissioner Hudson, I want to tell you something from my heart. I was pretty hurt when I heard some comments that were made, and it wasn't on our social media platform. It came from somewhere else. But I want you to know something. As a brother in Christ, I love you. I know you know I don't hate Tyler County. I know that. I think everybody in this room knows that somebody that has been working so hard on such a project doesn't hate this county. I love this county. My ancestors built this place. I came back to make it better, not to tear it apart. I don't want to tear anything apart. I want to build this thing. I want it to be better than it's ever been. And exactly what has been said here this morning We're all, you know what, we're all servants. Just because you guys are elected, I'm still a servant. You guys just happen to be in the spotlight, right? And I apologize if I put the spotlight directly on you in any other way, but I want to leave you with this. Social media is a great platform to get some news out. It really is, because nobody has to go buy a newspaper. If you've got the internet, practically everybody does now, you can jump on, right? But there's some things that you don't see. You don't see tone, diction, voice inflection, body language, which makes up 90% of effective communication. So when you hear something being said on social media, if it sounds like someone is screaming at you, that's not us. That's your perception of what's being said. I apologize I went over your time, but I want to tell you all from the bottom of my heart, everybody in this room, I don't hate anybody. I love every one of you, because my Bible tells me that I'm to love my neighbor, and you're at least my neighbor, aren't you? Anyway, thank you for your service. Thank you all, and thank you for giving me the time to speak with you folks and these kind of folks out here.
Thank you.
Mr. Colin Bishop.
Thank you, Commissioners Court, for letting me be here today to speak with you. I speak only for myself. I don't represent any other group, so I just want to make that clear. I've been a resident here for almost 19 years in my family, and I've come to know many of you that serve here. I don't know all of you, but I know some of you very well. I think it's easy sometimes when you sit on the sidelines and you watch people serve in government to Monday morning quarterback. And so I don't question anyone's character here. I don't question your motives or your intentions. I know it's very easy when COVID was going on. It was a stressful time for everybody. People were panicked for their families, panicked for their jobs, panicked for their community, panicked for their county, panicked for their church. So I don't question your motives. I think everyone did what they felt was best. And I would say that probably everybody that works in a county job is actually an essential employee. The reality is that between the state of Texas and people at the county, the attorneys that are involved, and legislature, and anybody else, they're going to figure out what happened here. And but what I would like to speak to is, I've known some of you here. Steve here worked on my car when my kids were young and things were tough raising 4 kids. I was very grateful for his shop and being able to keep my minivan patched together. And when times were financially much harder during the recession. I've known Jackie here for the 19 years I've been here. She's an honorable, ethical, and honest person. And she's a dear friend, and I love her dearly. This is a time for us to build bridges. I'd like to echo what Mr. Grissom said. This is a time to build bridges, not to tear down and divide. And I would appeal to all of you to work towards that end. I can remember even Judge Blanchett, when he first ran for office, we were new residents here in Tyler County. I was trying to think as I drove here today, I believe he actually came to my living room and my wife and I and sat down and talked about his vision for the county. And that really touched my heart, and I appreciated that somebody who was running for office would take the time to come visit with my young family at the time. Since that time in Tyler County, it's been really refreshing as a place that you call home and you love, because there have been other people that run for office that have also come and really just sat with us and like, what do you think and what do you want to do? And that's what makes this county great. So I appreciate all the work that you do, and I would encourage you, as Mr. Grissom did and some of the others, to think about ways that we can heal this county and make it a place that's a wonderful future for all of us. In closing, we recently had a general conference for our worldwide church, and our president and prophet leader, Russell M. Nelson, said something I thought would be very applicable to what we're dealing with here in Tyler County. He said, "My call today, dear brothers and sisters, is to end conflicts that are raging in your heart, your home, and your life. Bury any and all inclinations to hurt others. whether those inclinations be a temper, a sharp tongue, or a resentment for someone who has hurt you. The Savior commanded us to turn the other cheek, to love our enemies, and to pray for those who despitefully use us. It can be painfully difficult to let go of anger that feels so justified. It can seem impossible to forgive those whose destructive actions have hurt the innocent, and yet the Savior admonished us to forgive all men. We are followers of the Prince of Peace. Now more than ever, we need the peace only he can bring. How can we expect peace to exist in the world when we are not individually seeking peace and harmony? Brothers and sisters, I know what I'm suggesting is not easy, but followers of Jesus Christ should set the example for all the world to follow. I plead with you to do all you can to end personal conflicts that are currently raging in your hearts and in your lives. And in closing, I would echo that to everybody in this room. I plead with you to do all you can to end personal conflicts that are currently raging in your hearts and in your lives. And I thank you for your time today.
Mr. Rusty Hatton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you to the court for allowing me to speak. My name is Rusty Hatton. I was born and raised here in Tyler County. I'm a lifelong resident, and I don't see anything changing about that. My voice this morning is simply to support these men. Also to represent the many that share the same beliefs as myself. To our commissioners. In regards to the negativity that has been going around, I would like to say a few things that will hopefully encourage you. Family. Mike, Buck, Stephen, Joe. That is what I see when I look at y'all. Family. I've known Mike, Buck, and Stephen all my life. I've known Joe for the last 8 years. I've coached Pee Wee football, been taught ag in school. We've talked cooking, hunting, fishing, and I've worked with and beside all of these men. Each of these men have a special place in my life, and they go beyond their elected seats by helping their respective areas. They have actively helped with youth and people of our county, helping with animals and ag 4-H, helping support our kids with sports and other activities, serving and helping with our famous Dogwood Festival and all of its events, all the efforts put into fair and rodeo weekends. And there are so many more things that go unrecognized that these gentlemen are affiliated with. Each of these men were elected to be servants, as has been mentioned before. And serving is what I see from them. It takes a special person to be a public servant, having to deal with many different people, many different problems. Many of us, myself included, believe those chairs to be filled with special people. I have never known of any dishonesty by any of these men. I know these men to be great, God-fearing, morally sound men who want the best for this family that we call Tyler County. On behalf of my family and the many that are unable to be here, thank you for your service. I would like to end with this. The Apostle Paul tells us in 2 Timothy, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. It is our prayer that you men keep faith. Not only that, but know that we have faith in you. Tyler County strong.
One more. Thank Mr. Lawrence Johnson.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'd like to thank the commissioners, for letting me speak to you. I'm here to represent the community, Danby out there. I want to thank the sheriff's office, Brian Weatherford, Calhoun. They do a great job. We've lost a lot of people out there that have moved out of their houses. We have vacant houses. The problem is they're getting broke into. We've got habitual criminals. They're constantly repeat offenders. They bond out with, you put them on a low bond, and I want to talk to I have talked to the precinct people out there, and they've all assured me they try to set a high bond. Problem is, they go down to the bond people and they bond them out for a small amount. They're out before our officers finish their paperwork. You four gentlemen can set and request a bond board where they set a minimum percentage of that bond to get out of jail. That is why I'm here. I would like you to think about it and have us, Tyler County, we've got a lot of people come from other counties up here, rob, steal, take vehicles and leave, but when they're caught, they bond out. If you got a $100,000 bond and they're out with the $20 out of their pocket from these bonding agents, that's a problem. They need to have a percentage of their bond set. And you can recommend a bond board for Tyler County. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you, Mr. All right.
Yeah, you do.
All right, here we go.
You ate it.
We will. First page.
Here, table that.
Yeah, all right. We'll start with our tabled items from previous meetings. To appoint an elected official to serve in the open position on the Tri-County Community Action Board per request from Yolanda Neal. And I don't know if we came up with a name yet, or anybody who's serving that board.
Make a motion to leave it tabled.
Second.
Got a motion and second to leave it tabled. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, we'll go to our consent agenda. Item A is minutes from previous meeting. Connie sent us those this morning.
Yesterday, you got some too.
We'll get a motion to.
Motion to accept. Second.
Got a motion and second to accept the minutes from previous meetings of March 14th, 2022. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B is monthly reports.
I'll make a motion that we receive monthly reports.
Second.
Got a motion and second to receive monthly reports. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4 is resolutions, proclamations, and orders. Item A, proclamation declaring April as Tyler County Child Abuse Prevention Month.
That's mine. I bring that in the form of a motion.
Second.
And, we have some child welfare board representative people here that are going to members. I think one of them's going to speak on the proclamation. There she is.
I was hiding.
The lovely Kathy Harris.
We do have some members of our Child Welfare Board here, and I'll just remind the audiences that our Child Welfare Board members, when we apply to serve on our Child Welfare Board, we have to do a complete background check, and after that happens, then the Commissioners Court appoints us to serve on that board. And I'd like for our board members to stand this morning that are here. Paula Gibbs, Melanie Calhoun, Stephanie Smith, Terry Allen, Mike McCulley, Tricia Ford. Tina Self also serves on our board. Stephen Sturrock, Commissioner, serves on our board. Dolores Wigley and Matt O'Neill also serves on our board. And
Let's give you
Each month when we bring our proclamation to Commissioners Court, it has some very staggering numbers in that proclamation. Last year, during 2021, 199 children died as a result of abuse and neglect. That's 199, way too many kids. We do have removals from our county, and I should have counted this morning, but we have between 35 and 40 foster kids from our county that are placed in foster homes, residential placement centers. And one thing our board does, I like to think of myself as the special aunt in their life. The board, with the help of the Commissioners Court, donates, gives us money to help us to help our kids each year. But we give them Christmas gifts, Christmas checks. We buy their school clothes and school supplies, birthday checks, birthday money. If they want to be in the band and can't afford to be in the band, we help them with that. Anything that they need help with, we try to help them with that. And we communicate a lot with our CPS workers. One lady is here from CASA. I'm so sorry. CASA, please stand. We work with CASA. And do we have any child welfare board? CPS people in the... Okay, anyway, okay, good. Thank you so much for coming. Would you let us know your name, please?
Good morning, y'all. I'm Christella Crawford. I work with the investigations department of the Child Protective Services.
And would you please have your name, please?
I'm Christy Baylor, Advocate Supervisor at CASA, the city of Nashville.
Thank you so much for being here. After you read the proclamation, could we possibly come up, stand behind you and get a picture? Okay, thank
You want to
you.
read it now? All right. Whereas there were 253,054 reports of child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, and whereas there were 157,519 completed investigations of child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, and whereas there were 199 child deaths as a result of child abuse or neglect last year in Texas, and whereas there were 272 reports of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, and whereas there were 169 completed investigations of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, and whereas there were 45 confirmed victims of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, whereas there were 8 children removed from their homes because of child abuse or neglect last year in Tyler County, and whereas child abuse and neglect is a community problem affecting the current and future quality of life of the community, and whereas child abuse prevention is a community responsibility and finding solutions depends upon involvement among all people, and whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs that benefit children and their families, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas everyone in the community should become more aware of child abuse prevention, and all citizens should become more involved in supporting families to provide safe, nurturing environments for their children, giving them the opportunity to grow up to be caring, contributing members of the community. Now, therefore, I, Judge Pro Tem Mike Marshall of Tyler County, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 to be Child Abuse Prevention Month in Tyler County. I also proclaim that Sunday, April 24th, 2022 to be Blue Sunday, and in so doing, urge all citizens to join in a national effort to raise awareness about the importance of preventing child abuse and showing support by wearing blue in support of the prevention of child abuse and neglect.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we come up?
Yes, y'all come take a picture. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
Stand just behind him.
Or do we need to see that?
Yeah.
We also do this thing in November called the purse auction, and that also assists us with lots of other things, scholarships for seniors, sending law enforcement to training. Scoot over, okay. Anyway, I forgot my phone, so Chris is going to take a picture with us.
even have to give a 3 count.
We've done this
Thank
thing.
y'all. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Okay. We'll move on to item B. 2022 fireworks sales order for Memorial Day, May 25th through May 30th at midnight. And I'll put it before the motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Item C is resolution adopting civil rights plans and policies for GLO, contract number 22-119-009-D419 CDBG-MIT. Leslie, are you going to talk to us about that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
morning. Just to give y'all a little quick reminder, back about a year and a half ago, y'all asked us to put in a drainage project with the General Land Office. We just now got our signed contract, and we had our startup meeting on March 30th. We had it with Commissioner Marshall and Commissioner, sorry, I keep wanting to call you Buck all the time. It's just, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Anyway, but we had a really good meeting. We had our engineer there and our auditor in my office, and the state came in and told us a little bit about how they intended to run this project. Since this is a big deal, it's a $6.4 million drainage project for you guys, which is very exciting. And for anybody, commissioners, that can't remember where we are, I do happen to just have that map with me. That's not why I came today, but it's with me. What we're talking about on the agenda right now are all the civil rights things we have to adopt for each and every grant. We've been doing this since all the way back to Rita and before that. So we're looking, and we do this as a group of documents. We're adopting the citizen participation plan, which the state says we have to have, a grievance procedure, section 3, which talks about hiring locally, the excessive force policy, the 504 policy with grievances and procedures, limited English proficiency plan, meaning do I have to put things in Spanish in the newspaper depending on how many citizens are here, and a fair housing policy to go with it, because we always have one of those. So this is the standard stuff, and I know y'all are used to all of this. But it is on the table for adoption today, so we can apply it to the upcoming grant we have. Anyone have any questions?
Make a motion, we adopt the resolution.
Second.
We've got a motion and second to adopt the resolution, civil rights plans and policies for GLO. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And item D is resolution authorizing depositories and signatories for GLO contract.
Yes, sir. Okay, so every time we do a grant project, we have a particular way of paying the bills. The funding agency does not just send you all the money at one time, and that's not how any of this works. So we have a resolution to appoint signatories for this grant, because we will need somebody to do the drawdowns on your end, and I think we are keeping it like we've had it in the past, unless anyone sees any changes they want to make. I did not have LaDonna call down here and find out, but if everybody's good with keeping it the way we've had it before, that's all we're talking about today.
I'm good with that. I make a motion that we pass a resolution authorizing depositories and signatories as we have had them in the past.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And just so y'all know, in case when we get down the road and the contractor might ask you about payments and so forth, and we'll get closer to that. But right now, it's running 30, 45 days, a little bit longer right now than what we had seen it. And that could change tomorrow and improve is the way I hope it goes. So, all right, next up.
All right, and then item E is a resolution agreeing to comply with all applicable financial management and procurement law, regulations, rules, and guidelines of said federal, state, and grant funds. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Leslie, do you need to explain any of that?
No, well, the only thing I want to add to that is you've always been doing this. The state just wanted it done in this format, which is what they asked us for in that meeting. So we're not changing anything you've done. We're just putting it on paper the way they asked us to do it. So all good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. All right. Item F is thank you, Leslie.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Proclamation declaring April 2022 as Fair Housing Month. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I didn't have that resolution or the proclamation. Item G is a resolution and order adopting ordinance regulating game rooms in Tyler County. Look,
I think the sheriff is going to speak to that.
I'll put it in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Had to borrow some glasses this morning. A little rainy. I come before you today and you have a copy of this. It's pretty lengthy. Try to be brief with this. What this is an ordinance regulating game rooms in Tyler County. The Texas Local Government Code number 234.133 gives us that authority. The legislators had the foresight to know that there were issues that come along with these gaming rooms, and that's what gives us the authority to regulate these in all of our counties. And on that note, I'd like to recognize, and everybody happy for this, but we've got our state rep that's here today. State rep, as I've always called him, the last 12 years, I believe it is, has been a driving force for our state, for law enforcement especially. And I just can't thank him enough for all the years of service. I just want to throw that in there while I have the platform. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish reasonable and uniform regulation of game rooms to promote public health, safety, and welfare, and to prohibit business activities which merely serve as a front for criminal activities, including but not limited to gambling and tax evasion. Now, when we think of game rooms, you think of kids in arcades. This is not what we're talking about. And I had Commissioner Hudson sign off on this when I presented this to the court, because we're having these issues are popping up in our south end of our county on the 92 corridor. We had one that probably in 2015 in Hillister that we were able to go in and make some undercover buys and have that place shut down. We're starting to get a few that are popping up. Under game room, it just simply means for a nonprofit or for a profit business located in a building or place that contains 6 or more amusement redemption machines or gambling devices. Now you ask, what's an amusement redemption machine? It means any electronic or electromechanical or mechanical device designed, made, or adapted for bona fide amusement purposes that rewards the player exclusively with non-cash merchandise, prizes, toys, or novelties for a representation of value redeemed for those items that have a wholesale value available from a single play of game or device of not more than 10 times the amount charged to play the game or device once for $5, whichever is less. The state legislatures again, had the foresight to know that these illicit game rooms as a category of commercial uses are associated with a wide variety of adverse effects, including but not limited to, to personal and property crimes, gambling offenses, weapon offenses, illicit drug use, and drug trafficking. There are negative impacts that are surrounding properties, urban, and litter. Last, they go on to say the game rooms should be separated from sensitive land issues to minimize the impact of their secondary effects upon such uses, and should be separated from other game rooms to minimize the secondary associated effects with such uses and prevent unnecessary concentration of game rooms in one area. And also it goes in there to give us, the Sheriff's Department, we will regulate, they can only be within 1,500 feet. They can't be within 1,500 feet of any religious worship areas. They can't be any schools or any residential areas, neighborhoods. So there's a lot of any offenses. Each one of these offenses is considered one offense. If there's any offense that's committed, this gives us the authority to go in and to make sure that these businesses are operating on the up and up. I know my sergeant has visited with Don East. We've talked about this. It's a very lengthy process. There's probably 7 or 8 pages alone in the application process. You're looking at $1,000 permit fee. Each violation, if we were to go in and find a violation, it's criminal up to it's a Class A misdemeanor, up to 1 year in jail, $4,000 fine. What's that's very intriguing to me is, and this is where you see the way the legislators were thinking and the problem that all this entails with the activity that it brings in. The county can also file in district court each violation is a separate violation. We can be fined up to $10,000 in district court. So this is a very serious matter. The clientele, if you will, that it attracts, we want to make sure we have the regulations in here for us to be able to go in and police this. And that's the reason I'm coming before the court today, for us to review these documents, to consider these. I have been in extensive talks with our district attorney, Lucas Babin, as well as the assistant, Morgan Williams. They're totally on board with this. This actually originated in Jefferson County, where there was a lot of problems happening in that area. It moved over to Orange County and up to Jasper County. They have all adopted this. They have given their law enforcement the tools that they need. Also, Hardin County, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, did the same thing. We're all seeing the same problem, if you will. Sometimes as citizens of Tyler County, we get locked in the fact that we think it happens just right here in our own home. It doesn't. We have a national problem, we have a state problem, we have local problems, and this will just help us be able to regulate this and keep that crime down as best we can. So I thank you for your time. Any questions, guys?
This only affects the unincorporated areas of the
That's
county.
correct. That's correct. Now, in the cities there were, I believe the city of, I want to say Lumberton, I believe they are pursuing it through their municipalities. Also, if we have the chief here today, also if the city of Woodville, for say, if they also adopt this as well, we will of course share information as far as the permitting and all that's necessary too as well. It will it'll give us a better idea of what's going on as far as these game rooms. And again, it's a lot of the attraction that they attract, if you will, whether it be the drug trafficking, we see it with prostitution. There's just all kinds of crimes that come with this. So we want to get a handle on this as quick as we can.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to our consider approved informational section. Item A is budget amendment line item transfers. Put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Jackie, is there anything, I know we have several line item transfers to try and get on.
It's 2021, close out to get ready for our annual audit.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is accounts payable. Make a motion, we pay our county bills.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item C is ratification of the Arts Affordable Care Reporting and Tracking Service renewal agreement on 3/31/2022. Mr. Hudson.
Yes. Madam Treasurer, would you like to speak to that? Yeah, I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay.
It is an annual thing that we do through TAC. They take care of our Obamacare reporting, is basically what it is. And the renewal was 3/31, and we need to get that in before that time. The fees are waived, is what it is, so it's no cost to the county. So I contacted the judge and Jackie to make sure that we can get that in if they foresaw any issues. And neither one said if they did, they have it ratified. And I asked Buck if he would sign off on it, and he said, so you can that for me.
Thank you, Leanne. That being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item D is presentation of employee service awards. Awards given in recognition of service in increments of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years. I'll put it in the form of a motion.
Second.
So I do want to clarify, because I think there was some confusion last time. The last set of awards that we gave out was to recognize everybody for up to 2022. So all of those awards were in increments of 5, 10, 15, and so on. But up to that point, I didn't want to overlook anybody at that point. And I think everybody was thinking that I had missed them, and I didn't. I just wanted to get everybody up to that point. And I'll just call them out, and then we'll hand them out later so that we can, for time's sake. But for 5 years, Michelle McGinty, 15, we have another 5 years with Gary Havens, 15 years, Judge Blanchett, 15 years, Joe Blackshear, 15 years, Jim Moore, Judge Jim Moore, 10 years, Jerry Marshall. I don't think Jerry is his Chester. I didn't want to put Chester officially on this thing. 15 years, Judge Milton Powers. 20 years, Honorable Sheriff Brian Weatherford. 20 years, Ricky Coker. 25 years, Judge Earl Stover. And 35 years, which is actually more than 35 years, but as the county clerk, I'm sorry, Donnie Scraper. Thank you. Anyway, that's what I have on those. Thank you all for your service.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Item E is renew the 2022 contract with Workforce Solutions for the work-based learning agreement. And
I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
I'll second. Leanne.
And now Ms. Leanne gonna talk again.
So we did this a few years back, actually, I think probably 2019, 2020, and Stephen and I, we worked on this a little bit. And it's a program with the Workforce Commission. It doesn't cost the county anything. It's a training program through that entity. We sign on with them. They furnish all of the liabilities that normally would cost the county. And we don't do anything other than report back to them whether or not the trainee is learning or what, progress they're making. We didn't continue that contract during COVID, just simply because of the obvious reasons. They've contacted us again to see if we would like to do that. I think that it would probably be a good idea to do that and give options to the respective offices that we have. We don't have to do anything with it, or we can do whatever. But it costs $0 for the county, and it's just another resource to have for our officials to be able to draw from the employees out of that. So,
Leanne, is that the same program that they had where they supply workers come work at precinct barns and stuff. That's the same program.
Yes, sir. So they, you tell them what you need, what you're looking for, and they have a pool of trainees or whatever. And if they have something available,
No.
it's a very, and I think one of the drawbacks to it that I have found, and I think that Steve and I actually talked about it, was the criteria for them to qualify for them to come here was very, very strict. So they couldn't have worked at a certain time. It was very, very hard for them to qualify. So when COVID happened, it was just kind of like, So we thought we'd try it again to see if things had.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item F is opening of bids for petroleum products for Tyler County. Are we going?
Well, I would request, we have a new electronic bidding system, and for a vendor to bid, they have to be registered. And some of them were having issues getting registered, and then some of them got registered but had issues of understanding how to submit their bids. So for F through K, I would like to do an addendum to extend the bidding until March 25th, our next board meeting. April 25th.
That's a special meeting.
That's a special meeting, yeah. And that'll give me time to help them with whatever they're having a problem with.
So we
Make a motion, F through K, we table until 25th and still allow bids to be turned in until that time, correct?
Correct.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to table items F through K. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item L, going out for bids for a used standard wheel loader for precinct 4. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second.
There's really not, there's not a whole lot of explanation other than what it says when you're going out for bids.
Well,
Wheel
used
loaders.
equipment is not on the Bible.
It's not on the buy board, so you have to go out for bids.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
We're just going out for bids to see if we can find one.
To buy.
Yeah, to buy, yes.
At a later date.
Item M is ordinance regulating game rooms in Tyler County. Did we not do that one?
Well, I
That was a
think what we
resolution.
did was establish the resolution a while ago, and now I'd like to make a motion that we establish an ordinance regulating game rooms in Tyler County. Sheriff, do you want to speak to it again, or you?
No, you have it before you, I just asked that you consider the word.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item N, hiring professional engineering services from Goodwin Lassiter Strong in Lufkin, Texas to review and approve the Lakeland Ranch Section 2 subdivision application.
I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
I was contacted by the developer and they're fixing to turn in their second round. Donnie, did they turn in that
Yes,
second? Okay. So,
Well, I don't know that we've received the application
okay.
by Friday, but
Well, it's coming.
there was some emails going back and forth.
And I think it's going to include 16 lots, but,
They
we
didn't
need to
turn
get
in a
ahead
plat.
of them on that, so. And the way we're doing it now is, when we amended like the tier scale, they're turning it in, like any subdivision stuff, they're getting it to Don East, and then it goes from Don East to Goodwin Lassiter, Strong, and we probably one day need to, specify somebody to review those things, but, permanently, yes, sir. And the
Right.
tier schedule we used was Goodwin Lassiter Strong. So.
They have paid their $4,000 and they turned in the plat, and then they were trying to get their application to come through email. I know that Kelly was working on that Friday.
Are these bigger lots?
These are actually connecting to the subdivision that's there. They're just on the other side of the road. So really, it's just going to be, Jed said it's going to be something simple because they're going to tie into the existing road, but they'll still have to do the full application. But it should be a whole lot simpler. And And they're gonna turn in, just for y'all's information, another big round here pretty quick.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item O is renewal of Tyler Tech subscription for electronic signature for veteran service.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion, second. Need some discussion on it? Pretty much.
It's just their way of signing electronically. It's just a renewal that they have the service already.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item P is purchase of a new John Deere Model 670G, stock number N066901 on the buy board through Doggett for precinct 4, Buck Hudson.
Yeah, I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second. That's a maintainer.
That is a maintainer, and what we're doing is we're trading out the oldest one that we have and gonna purchase this one. It'll be a lease purchase. It won't be the total amount. It'll just be a lease purchase every year. And it's so crazy right now with COVID and all the problems. It's not even built yet. And he told me they only have 2 available. They're going to be built. And he said that the projection is that they will be here in August. But I mean, y'all all know how the world is working right now. So if we get it in August. If we don't, we wait a little longer. So that's what the deal is. We have to go ahead and put our name on the dotted line unless somebody else doesn't speak for it. So
What year model is that used one that you?
I think it's,
Wheel loader.
no, he's talking about the gray.
This one here
Yeah.
be a 2023.
No, the one, it looks like you're trading one in. Are you-
Oh,
Right, and we
How
will
much?
eventually.
What year model is that one?
I think it's a 14 or no. I'd have to look. It's older than that. I mean,
That's
it's,
what I was thinking.
it's given us so much trouble.
Oh,
There's no
never
sense
mind.
to keep spending money on it over and over again, so.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item Q is a lease agreement through First National Bank, Wichita Falls. For
All right, let me explain that. I'd like to make a motion that we extend the lease agreement through the First National Bank in Wichita Falls. This is on one of our tractors that we purchased a few years ago. The lease agreement was up in March, but due to COVID, once again, and all that, we're supposed to trade out trucks in March, and they're none built. So they're wanting to push the lease agreement forward until June. And hopefully the tractor will be here in June. We've had this truck for 3 years, and that's the lease agreement, but we have to extend it because they don't have any built. So
That's a truck tractor, right?
truck tractor, right, for the belly dump. So I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item R is purchase of the new John Deere Model 670 maintainer through the buy board for Doggett for precinct 3. I'll put it before the motion.
Second.
I kind of got a little ahead on the Bucks. They did find me one. It should be here anytime, but it has been tough trying to get equipment. Anyway, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item S is a lease agreement through First National Bank of Wichita Falls for the purchase of this John Deere to pay it out also instead of just trying to pay $300,000 for a piece of equipment. But I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
We've got a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item T is accept the resignation of Richard Coker from ESD #1 Board of Managers.
I put that in form of a motion.
Second.
He's moving, or that's what I was told.
Moving out of the
by,
county.
Mr. Smith.
Right. Got a motion and second to accept the resignation of Richard Coker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item U is accept the resignation of Lana Cox from ESD number 1.
I'll put that in the form of motion also.
Second.
A motion and second.
She's moving to be with kids also.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is appoint Charles Touchton to ESD number 1 Board of Managers.
I'll put that in the form of motion.
Second.
Okay, I've contacted him and he's willing to step in and fill that, one of those spots. I'll have one more to fill, but it's not easy finding people to be a part of that.
We've got a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item W is renewal of contractual agreement with DHS for the Justice of the Peace.
I'll put that in the form of motion.
Second.
Trish, would you
Got a motion
speak
and second.
to that?
That's just our regular, raise and Prince calls. We use them to collect for our outstanding citations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Trish. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Roman numeral 6 is comments by court members pertaining to matters of county government. Anybody have anything this morning? All right, no executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank y'all for being here this morning.
Lord, I gotta put all that back together. I don't know.